All right. Happy Friday, everyone. We are just going to give things, we're just going to hold on just a second or two to make sure everything is operational. think we are live. So if you're there and you want to drop hashtag coffee break into the chat, we'd love to hear from you. Okay. Think we are good to go. Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to the Construction CPA's Coffee Cafe. I am Lisa Raish. I am the Construction CPA. We are dropping the hammer on cash flow problems for contractors so you can build things that matter. So today's topic is managing and organizing your financial records for tax time. This tends to be a really big challenge that we run into on an annual basis. Clients don't know what to keep, what not to keep, how to keep it, so on. So we're just going to give you some tips and tricks, especially as we get closer to the year end. Again, you'll want to think about how you're going to organize everything so that you're not scrambling to look for it when you go to have your tax return done. You have everything ready to go for your preparer. And it'll make it a lot less painful for both sides. We, as the accountants and CPAs, know it's painful for you. So we just want to make it as painless as possible. So it's really important that you organize the information as it comes in. So we work a lot with businesses. So it's not just organizing the information at year end for tax time, it's organizing your information throughout the year so that, we've got organized documents and organized files so that we have the proper information and we can file your tax return. Like anything else, you're going to want to make sure that you organize them in a fashion that works for you. So we still have some clients that they maintain their information in paper form. We do request when they send it over to us that it comes in electronically, but we still have clients who maintain paper files, paper file cabinets, so on and so forth. Number one, do what works for you. We are completely paperless here. So we work entirely remotely and electronically. So we accept everything in electronic fashion. But if electronic doesn't work for you and you still feel comfortable going to a file cabinet, then that's what you want to do. Just keep in mind when you are maintaining paper files that over time the receipts and the invoices can degrade. So you just want to keep that in mind as you maintain them. We do have many of the clients, even though they may be paper, we use a couple of electronic tools with them when we're doing their monthly accounting. So we actually have everything in electronic format as a backup. So there's an option for you as well. Like anything else, if you don't keep your documents organized, especially at tax time, you may forget something. You may forget to give something. And then also as your tax person, if you forget to give something, or it's hard for us sometimes to remember everything you have. We go through your prior file. We want to make sure that what you had last year, you have this year. But if you have something new this year that we don't know about, if you don't keep that information organized as it comes in, then we don't necessarily know to ask you. And so that's where sometimes we run into challenges, especially as preparers, is we don't know that a client has something new. Common issues in the last 5 or so years, a lot of clients' information now is actually maintained electronically. So for instance, a mortgage interest statement, which is a Form 1098. Most clients don't get those in a paper form anymore. The mortgage company doesn't mail them to you. You have an electronic portal with that bank, and you need to go in and retrieve that. So if that's what you're doing, then you need to go in and retrieve the documents yourself. So again, we do recommend, if you are doing that, you take one time, you take 1 hour, one afternoon, go into your various banking portals to pull down your 1099, your interest statements, any dividend statements or consolidated 1099s that you have from your brokerage company, from the mortgage company, and you go in and you pull all those, you download those out and you save them into your records. You do that all at once. We find if clients kind of go in and out and they do it here and they do a little there and then they grab one here, that's when things get lost. So our recommendation is always to sit down and just do it all at once and kind of organize everything together. Typically, you can pull it all together within an hour. If not, then again, we forget, you send the information over, and then your preparer comes back and says, oh, by the way, where is XYZ? So again, something to kind of think about, and excuse the noise. It is a little noisy here today. So what are the things that you're going to want to keep? W-2s. Again, just like your 1099 statements, many of you are with the major payroll companies, Paychex, ADP. We use Gusto for a number of our clients. You're going to go in most cases and pull down your W-2 from that portal. Some of them still mail. I believe Paychex and ADP might still mail them. So again, as the information comes in from the mail, I used to have just a manila folder. And as it came in, I would stuff everything into the manila folder. Now, again, most CPAs, most tax preparers are going to want your documents electronically. So at some point, you're going to need to kind of take everything out of the envelopes and scan them. But something simple envelope, and you just stuff it in there as it comes in the mail. You're going to want 1099. So if you have a savings account and you're earning interest, you're going to want that 1099 INT. If you have a brokerage account, so you may have investments, you may be, a lot of people are using Robinhood and Ameritrade and all of kind of the major brokerage. So you're going to want to go and grab those 1099s. There'll be other documents. Are you still receiving, are you still paying student loans? A 1099E, I'm sorry, 1098E would be the statement of the interest you paid on your student loans, and that might be deductible to you. Your mortgage interest statement. So again, you're going to pull that down or get that. Maybe you still get a paper one from the mortgage company. So you're going to want to put those to the side. If you are paying escrow every month to real estate taxes and your insurance, in most cases, that's all going to get reported somewhere on that 1098. But if you're not, you're going to want to pull together your real estate tax bills so that you can have those for your preparer. And so those are the major documents. And again, as they start to come in, you drop them into one place, into one envelope on the corner of your desk. Or again, if you're going in and you're grabbing all of this information electronically, do it all in one sit. Sit down and go into all your different portals all at once, at one time, save them all into one spot so that you can electronically provide your documents to your preparer. They're all in one place. They're not all over the place. You don't have them saved in this folder and that folder and so on and so forth. When you are self-employed, when we have clients that are Schedule Cs, you're going to probably get 1099s from the people that you are working with. Again, let's put your 1099s to the side. The other thing to keep in mind is when you are self-employed, you will also have the responsibility to keep track of all the dollars that you've collected or all the revenue that you've brought in. So just because you received a 1099 or didn't get a 1099 from one of the people that you work for, doesn't mean you don't include the income. You are responsible for reporting all of the dollars that you brought in, regardless of whether somebody gave you a 1099. But again, as a business, those are the types of things that you're going to get. You're going to get a 1099. The other thing is business. You're going to need to keep track of your expenses. If you were to get audited somewhere along the line, you need to be able to prove that your expenses were ordinary and necessary, that they're ordinary and necessary in the pursuit of the revenue or in the pursuit of the business that you have. So you want to maintain those records, maintain them the way that makes sense for you. Again, we here are completely paperless. We keep all of ours electronically in electronic files. We also, in this business, we use a product called Dext, which is a receipt tracker. We also use that product with our clients. So basically, as the clients receive invoices sometimes they get them emailed, they forward them onto the product. We also have the ability, so with the cell phone, there's going to be a cell phone app. So you might be able to take a picture of the receipt. That's a great feature. The receipt then goes off to the product. And when we're doing your monthly accounting, we're attaching the receipts directly to the expense in your accounting system. So we have an electronic log. There are other products available. So if you're using something like QuickBooks Online, You have the ability to directly attach your expenses, your receipts, your invoices to the expense in QuickBooks. That's an option too. Again, we use a separate product that kind of pushes it in. There are other products. Bill.com will do that. There are other products. HubDoc is another one that would do that. So there are a number of products on the market that you could use to keep track of your business expenses. That's how we operate with our clients. Again, we're completely electronic and remote. So everything we retain for clients is in electronic format. But some of our clients in their actual offices still maintain those items in paper form in a file cabinet. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But you want to do what works for you. Just keep in mind, it's your responsibility if you were to ever get audited, that you have to present your receipts in an audit. It's not, again, you have to present it. It's not that if, for instance, if it was an IRS audit, you have to prove those expenses, and a credit card statement or a bank statement is not sufficient. So you want to make sure that, for instance, if you're using Microsoft like we do, we use Office 365. I get an invoice via email every month. It goes directly to our Dext product, and then it feeds directly into QuickBooks. So I have all of my receipts attached to my QuickBooks expenses. So again, if you aren't operating that way, you would want to maintain that paper invoice in a cabinet somewhere so that you could easily pull it out. Again, that's for business. Now, when you come to your personal, there'll be other things that may be deductible to you on a personal side. So their medical expenses. Again, there are very high thresholds to meet in order to actually deduct medical expenses. But like anything else, a bank statement or a credit card is not sufficient evidence of that expense. So that invoice you get in from the dentist to have that root canal that you spent $3,000 on, you need to retain that. Again, paper form, electronic form, whatever works for you, do what works. But if you are, again, as I warned before, if you are keeping paper, just keep in mind over time, paper does degrade. So again, something to think about. And if you're doing electronic, you do want to make sure that you're saving it in a place that you potentially could not lose it. So if you're saving it on the actual hard drive of the computer or the laptop that you're using, you may also want to sync that to a cloud product and save it there just in case anything were to happen to your computer, you don't lose all of your receipts. Again, like anything else, now when you start to get a little bit deeper into business and investments, you want to retain records of the assets that you're purchasing. For instance, you're in business. We work with a lot of construction clients. They're buying trucks. They're buying equipment. We need copies of the purchase documents related to, so the purchase and sale that you would have received from the dealership when you bought that pickup truck. Or if you're buying a cat, a backhoe or something like that. Again, what purchase documents are you receiving from the company? If you're buying directly from, a major vendor, what are you getting from them as documentation to support the purchase that you made? If you are making, if you're buying, say, individually, sometimes we do have clients that purchase used vehicles. Maybe they purchase a used truck from someone else. Again, you need to keep a purchase and sale document, create something. It doesn't have to be elaborate, something basic and simple, just stating, person A sells to person B for Y dollars. Those are all documents that you would need when you would go to register the truck in the state that you're in anyways. So again, those are things that you're going to want to keep. Are you buying real estate? So again, the enclosure document is what they call it now. I'm a little bit old school. I still call it a HUD-1, but it's all the same thing. You would want to retain that because your accountant, your CPA is going to need that real estate information to determine if you say you bought it and now you have a rental property. You're going to rent it. We're going to put that asset on your tax return. We're going to depreciate that asset. So we need to know how much you have into that purchase of that asset. So again, those are all things that you're going to want to maintain. You want to keep record of. As I stated before, it doesn't have to be in electronic format. It could be in a paper format, and that's fine. Again, if you are going to retain paper, again, like anything else, it could be damaged. You could be water damaged. It could get degraded over time. You could have an accident and you lose it. So I would always recommend that you have a backup of whatever it is that you have. If you have paper files, you would consider possibly an electronic backup. And if you have an electronic, you want to make sure that you've got backups of that electronic. So if something were to happen, that you don't lose it. Did you buy a piece of real estate? Did you buy it with cash? Did you purchase it and now you have a mortgage? Again, what do you have for loan documents? If you're in the business of buying and selling real estate, we would want to, and you're going to rent that real estate now, we would want the loan documents. We would want to see how much of that interest, how much interest that you've paid in, and what can we take as an expense, and so on. So again, those are all things that you want to keep record of. It doesn't have to be an elaborate system. It could be, again, I always recommend to clients, do what works for you. If electronic is the way that you like it, keep it in a file system that you're going to remember how to use. I can make a recommendation of how to keep your files. It's not necessarily the way that you would feel comfortable, or it may be intuitive to me personally. So again, if you're going to keep your files, keep them in a way that's intuitive to you and the way that you can find it. And it's the same thing with paper. You want to be able to kind of easily and quickly retrieve something. So keep it organized in a way that makes sense for you if you are using paper and you're keeping it in a paper file cabinet. Again, if you've paid off your loan, right? You have a mortgage on a rental real estate, a property that you are renting, a commercial property, a residential property. You've paid off that mortgage. You want to retain the documentation that states that you have, in fact, paid off the mortgage and it's been released and so on. Again, those are documents that you would keep personally, you would want to have on file, but also would need them when you go to file your tax return, whether you're an individual person with rental real estate or you're in the business of renting. You have multiple rental properties. Those are all things that you're going to want to keep. Again, we've talked about it kind of on and off. We use a lot of digital. Again, we're completely remote, so everything's digital. I don't actually have a file cabinet here in this office. So that doesn't necessarily mean that's what you have to do, but some of the tools we use, as I mentioned, we use Dext. That's something we use with all of our clients. The Dext product pushes all the receipts into QuickBooks. And so we now have all of the receipts in QuickBooks attached to the business. The client's personal stuff isn't going to be in there. So again, the client will need to retain their personal expenses that would be deductible on a personal tax return in a different format. But for businesses, Dext is a good tool. Bill.com. There's HubDoc. I mentioned those as well. Again, or if you're using something like FreshBooks, QuickBooks Online, Xero, you can actually attach your receipts and invoices directly to the product. Again, I prefer digital. That doesn't necessarily mean everybody likes digital. I prefer kind of the ease of being able to grab a digital file if I need it. There are times I've actually needed things and I've been able to pull up a digital file right off of my cell phone or right off of the iPad. So there's that ease of being able to grab things quickly. Again, that doesn't mean that digital is the only way. It's just, it provides a little bit more ease and kind of quick of being able to grab something. Maybe somebody needs something quickly, you need to be able to show somebody something. Again, we use a number of different tools. We use a product called ShareFile here to actually save and share documents with our clients. So that's a secure way. You also, Microsoft has the OneDrive, there's Dropbox, Google has the Google Drive. There are a number of electronic and cloud ways to save your documents and share them electronically. That are all wonderful tools, all, relatively easy to use and save and can easily share with your accountant, especially at tax time when you're looking to pull this information together. You want to be able to easily share them with your accountant. You want to organize your receipts in a way that makes sense for you. So if you are in a business, maybe you have a small business and maybe you're just starting out, if you're keeping your paper receipts, or you're keeping them electronically, maybe you keep them tracked by the month, right? And at least that way, in October of 2023, I spent, these are all my receipts. Again, that's not the only way to do it. You can also keep an electronic file cabinet like you would an actual regular file cabinet, and folders for each one of your vendors. Again, whatever makes sense for you and you can easily grab the information and share it is the best way to do it. Don't create something elaborate based on how someone else does it, because it may not be intuitive to you to use. And if it's not, then you may not use it at all. So use what's intuitive to you. And we all do things. I've changed my own filing over the years because I found that there are easier ways to maintain the information or better ways, so on and so forth. So again, there is no right or wrong way, just the best way that you're going to be able to find the information and pull it quickly should you need it. And again, don't wait to do this all in March as you are getting ready to take your information out to your tax preparer. If you do have a business, you want to retain this information, weekly, monthly throughout the year. You want to kind of have it available throughout don't try to pull it all together to get your tax return done in March. It tends to be a very painful process. That's why clients sometimes don't like to go to the accountant, because suddenly they have to go back and kind of recreate the wheel for the entire year, and they panic and they don't want to do that. So as the information comes in, you want to retain it and kind of put it to the side and organize it and file it the way that you will remember. When it comes to your personal stuff, same idea. Again, keep that one folder, one file, on the desk. And maybe that's where you throw things. And as they come in throughout the year, maybe you did buy that rental real estate, right? You purchased that. So you want to keep the CD from the purchase and all of the mortgage information there available. Again, in one simple place. Don't make it elaborate. Do what works best for you. And I hope you found that all helpful. It was great to see everybody again this week. Thank you for joining us. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat. We'd love to answer anything that you may have. And please feel free to join us every Friday at 10 a.m. We are here for the Construction CPA Coffee Cafe. And again, we are dropping the hammer on cash flow problems so you can build things that matter. Have a fabulous weekend, and we'll see you next week.